Hi, welcome to yoga. Thanks so much for joining me today. My dog Gilly is here with us. You might see her walk across the screen. She just was in the corner of the screen and then lay down. So it's all part of practicing at home. So find a comfortable seat, maybe sitting on a folded blanket or a mat of some sort, a bolster or a cushion, or directly on the mat if that's more comfortable for you. Taking a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Taking a few more deep breaths, just finding that space, finding your center, finding yourself present in this position, sitting here. Maybe allowing the eyes to close or softening the gaze, gazing down to the tip of the nose. Inhale, filling up the lungs, and exhale, emptying the lungs completely. Relax the muscles of the face. Drop the shoulders away from the ears. Allow the crown of the head to grow tall towards the ceiling. Feel firmly planted into your seat. Feel supported by the floor beneath you. Notice the feel of the air in the room around you. Notice the quality of the air. Notice if there's any movement or if it's still. Notice the temperature of the air. Notice the smell of the air, if you can smell anything. And notice things you can hear. Bring your attention to a faraway sound. Without identifying it, listen for the quietest or the farthest away sound you can hear. And now listen for a loud or nearby sound. Again, no need to identify it, just listening for a louder sound, allowing it to be. Bring the attention back to the breath. Steady inhale, steady exhale. Allowing the eyes to come open. Placing the hands on the knees, really kind of hanging on. We're going to go into a C curve of the spine. So drawing the navel towards the spine, starting to round, allowing the shoulders to come forward, maybe holding on to the knees for support. Really rounding, drawing the tailbone back. So your spine is moving into the shape of a C curve. Gaze is down towards the belly button. Really allow the chin to drop towards the chest, lengthening the back of the neck, lengthening the whole back body. And holding this C curve stretch. Keep breathing. And slowly starting to come forward, allowing the belly button to lead. Chest starts to shine forward. Looking up towards the ceiling, maybe just the top of the wall, allowing the elbows to draw back, back, back. Arching the back just slightly. And stay here, breathing. And drawing the navel back towards the spine, back into that C curve, holding onto the knees. This time maybe dropping the shoulders away from the ears, creating length in the neck while maintaining that C curve. And slowly moving into the counter pose, arching the back, looking up towards the ceiling, drawing the elbows back, 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 feeling their shoulder blades draw together along the spine. Breathing deep, filling up the chest, filling up the front of the shoulders, and exhale, come back to a neutral spine. Now following that same kind of pattern, we're going to do a seated cat and cow. So this time following the breath rather than holding. So on the inhale, we're going to shine the chest forward, looking up. So on the exhale, we'll allow the breath to come out, the lungs to contract, the navel to contract, coming back into that C curve. And then inhale, arching the back, looking forward. And exhale, rounding the back, looking down towards the navel. Inhale, forward. And exhale, rounding the back. Follow your breath, inhaling forward and exhaling back. Nice and slow and steady with the breath. We really focus on trying to open up the spine, the shoulders, the neck, some of those areas that become tight when we're sitting for long periods of time or doing the same kind of work, maybe repetitive actions. See about turning this into a circle. So shining your heart forward, then reaching over to the right, and then back, and then left. If you could find a little torso circle here. And find a breath pattern that stays with this, that feels right. And reverse direction. And coming back to center. Reaching the arms overhead. Cross the hands, lace the fingers together, and bring the hands right behind the head. Now we're going to start to bow the chin forward. Just be really aware we're not putting any pressure on the head with the hands. So the hands are just there for guidance. They're almost not touching the back of the head. Start to allow the chin to drop towards the chest, really just let gravity do the work, not pressing into the head whatsoever. And allow the elbows to start to come together, following this forward bend, keeping the torso upright while dropping the chin towards the chest, really bringing a lot of length into the back of the neck. Staying with the breath. Maybe even mindfully imagine that the head is pressing up into the hands, allowing just a little extra length in the back of the neck, leaving the chin tucked, and keep breathing. Good, and slowly start to come up again, releasing any sort of pressure from the arms on the head, allowing the head to come back up to neutral, opening up the elbows really, really, really wide. And then release the hands, arms out to the side, and drop the arms by your sides. Dropping the left ear to the left shoulder, feeling a stretch along the right side of the neck. Maybe if you'd like to reach your right arm out for a counter stretch, really bring a little extra length to that right side. And then start to shake the head no, so looking down towards the ground and looking slightly up. Just really feeling into that right side of the neck, right side of the shoulder. Oh, it's a good one. All right, and when you're ready, allow the chin to drop to the chest, coming to the center, and then rolling over to the opposite side, ear to shoulder. Again, shaking the head no, looking down, looking up. Really noticing if there are any particularly tight spots. Feel like, ooh, that needs a little extra stretch, just stay there. Really use the breath to go to that tight spot, just kind of using that imagery, imagination. Obviously, physically, the breath isn't going there, but if we use our imagination and send the breath to the tight area, it really does help relax and open up that muscle that might be gripping from sitting at a computer or doing whatever kind of work we do, looking at our phones, reading a book, all that kind of forward looking, forward shoulders really gets into the neck and shoulders for many people. All right, now dropping the chin towards the chest, rolling slowly to the center before coming back up to a neutral. Reaching the arms out to the side to a T. Inhale. And exhale, release the arms. Inhale the arms up to a T again. And this time dropping the fingertips down towards the ground, feeling that stretch along the top of the arm. And raising the fingertips up towards the ceiling, stretch along the bottoms of the arms, really as if you're pressing against each opposite wall, pressing through the palms, pressing, 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 and release. Pressing the right arm over the shoulder, grab it with the left, give a little bit of stretch to that shoulder, and switch sides. Excellent. Now, if you were sitting on a blanket, if you'd like to remove it, go ahead. We're going to go into a staff pose, so straightening the legs along the mat. And if it's more comfortable to keep that blanket underneath your seat, go for it. Sometimes that can help with raising up off the ground a little bit, can help get the legs straight. So play around with what feels right for you today. Coming into the staff pose and really staying here for a moment, we're going to pay attention to the feet. So we want to go for a right angle at the seat, right at the waist there. So sitting up nice and tall, aiming for straight legs along the floor. There might be a little bend in the knees. That's fine. We're just kind of aiming for those straight legs and pointing the toes up towards the ceiling. So really another right angle at the ankles, pointing those toes right up towards the ceiling as if we're standing on the opposite wall. Now start to point and flex the toes. So we're going to point the toes and flex. Really bring those toes back towards the body and point and flex and point and flex. Really waking up the ankles. And this is great, bringing a little bit of blood flow into the ankles. I think we have equal stress on our legs and ankles and feet, whether we stand on them all day long or whether we sit and we're not using them. Either way is a little bit stressful for them. So giving them a little extra love today. All right, coming back to that standing cat-like position. We're going to start to turn the soles of the feet in and out. So we're going to turn the sole. It might be kind of hard to see, but I'm turning the soles of my feet so that they're almost like touching each other, as if it's like palms together. They're not going to go all the way, obviously. But then I'm going to roll the ankles out so the palms or the soles of my feet are facing out. All right, so soles in together, soles out, soles in and out, and kind of rocking back and forth the ankles this way. Any sort of pain, obviously don't do it, please. Please don't hurt yourself. But really allowing these joints to kind of move and flex in whatever capacity is right for them today. So just pay attention to that. And then bringing some circles. So circling maybe one way. I hear some cracking and snapping. That's not necessarily bad, but again, if it hurts, take it easy. And other way, reverse direction. Beautiful. And back to center. Now bending one leg, we're going to bring that knee out and the sole of the foot towards the straight leg. Now turning towards those toes, we're going to start to forward fold over the straight leg. So reaching for the ankle, the shin, maybe the bottom of the foot, maybe the big toe. Inhale, looking forward to really straighten the back. And exhale, bowing nose towards the knee. This stretch is great for opening up the hips. Again, another part of our body that tends to not get a lot of attention, tends to get tight and sore. The psoas that runs from the back of the lower back all the way down into the thigh tends to get really sore, and that actually pulls on the lower back and causes lower back pain, which is pretty common in a lot of folks. So anything we can do to open up the hips, really stretch that psoas, is going to be beneficial in the long run. Staying with the breath. If this is too strong on the bent knee, maybe bringing a blanket underneath the knee for support, or you can start to bring the foot further down the leg. So maybe you don't want the knee quite bent that much. So play around with whatever spot feels right for you today. All right, and coming back up to a seat, take that same bent knee up in the air, palm up in the air, sole of the foot on the floor, and we're gonna just do a little twist. So bringing the left hand behind you, hug that right knee in with the right arm, looking over the left shoulder. And coming back to center, straightening that leg and bending the other one. So other side, bringing the sole of the foot to the inside of the straight leg and forward fold, reaching, go ahead and walking the hands down the shin until you reach as far as you want to go. Inhale, looking forward, straightening the back, and exhale, nose towards the knee. Notice if this side feels any different than the other. One side may be tighter than the other. Oftentimes not going to be the same. Just paying attention to that and noticing the difference. Again, sending that breath into any areas that feel tight, allowing the psoas to release. Inhale, filling up the body, sending energy and good vibes to the tight areas. And exhale, mindfully allowing them to relax and release. Good, and walking the hands up the leg, coming back up to sit. Planting that sole of the foot on the ground, nice and close to the straight leg, hugging that knee into the chest, reaching behind with the right hand and twist over the right shoulder. Looking over the right shoulder, I should say. All right, coming back to center. Now, taking the staff pose nice and wide, so widening the legs. It doesn't have to be super split, but finding a nice wide stance. And starting to, we're going to lean sideways, so really like a sideways side bend. Let me go right first so you can watch. So taking the left hand out and up and over, and leaning sideways over the right leg. And there goes Gilly. Hi, Gilly. And back up to center. I'm leading with the right hand out, up and over, and side stretch to the left. Really breathing into the side body. Allowing it to relax and release a little bit more with each exhale. And back up to center. Bringing the knees back together. Bending the knees, maybe scoot forward just a little bit. We're going to start to lean back onto the tailbone. And you can grab behind the legs for stability to start. We're going to go into Navasana, which is boat pose. So we're going to start to lean back and maybe start to lift one leg off the ground, lift the other leg off the ground, finding a point of balance kind of on the tailbone, on the right on the very, very, very lower back or the back side of the bum. And mindfully straightening the back, dropping the shoulders back away from the ears, trying to find a straight line all the way from the crown of the head to the feet. If you'd like to maybe let go of the grip, see if you can find that point of balance. Holding and breathing, drawing the navel into the spine. We don't want that C curve now. We want a nice straight back. Good, and release. Come back up to seat. Now crossing the legs, actually roll right over those legs. So come right into a tabletop, hands and knees. We'll just do a little bit of cat-cow here to find our center again. So same as in the beginning, inhale, looking forward, arching the back, and exhale, rounding the back, drawing the navel to the spine. Inhale, cow, and exhale, cat. Do a few more rounds here, finding that new center. Excellent, and back to neutral. Widen the knees as wide as the mat, bring the big toes together and send the hips back into child pose, maybe reaching the arms really far forward, dropping the forehead onto the mat. Good, and pressing up, back up to tabletop, bringing the knees back to about hip width apart. Starting to raise the left arm up in the air, opening up nice and wide, reaching towards the ceiling. And then we're going to thread the needle to bring in the left arm underneath the right armpit along the floor, bringing the left shoulder down to rest on the ground, left side of the head onto the ground, and maybe reaching the right arm out along the mat, wherever feels right for support. Stretching the shoulder, bringing a little extra twist into the upper back. Right, bring that right hand closer to the head and using that arm to press up and back up to tabletop. This time opening up with the right arm towards the ceiling, opening nice and wide, big deep breath. Then exhale, thread the needle, drawing the right arm underneath the left armpit, right side of the head to the mat, and twist, stretching that right shoulder. Draw the left hand closer to the head, pressing up, and back up to hands and knees. Taking the right foot forward between the hands, we'll come into a little lunge here. And plant both hands on the inside of the foot. So really walk that right foot out to the edge of the mat. If you can see, it's out to the edge of the mat. The hands are inside. A modified runner's lunge here. And then start to tuck the toes and start to walk the foot back, maybe knee, foot, kind of whatever you can do to get that back leg straight. I know it's really hard to see. I hate the lighting here sometimes. It has a hard time picking up no matter what color I'm wearing, but there we go. So straightening that back leg, coming into this lizard runner lunge. And dropping that back knee, to start to come up. So you can either rest on that front knee or draw the hands up in the air towards the ceiling, really pressing into that left front of the hip. Beautiful. Now frame the front foot with the hands. Where you send the hip back, straightening the front leg. Doesn't have to be straight all the way. Toes point towards the ceiling and bow over that leg. And coming forward, we're just going to switch feet. So bringing the right foot back, left foot forward, left foot out to the edge of the mat, hands on the inside. I'm going to walk that right foot back, straighten the leg. Maybe rock back and forth, opening up into this lizard stretch. Go ahead and dropping the right knee. We're going to start to come up onto the left knee for support or draw the hands up in the air. Maybe a slight back bend looking towards the ceiling this time. Pressing forward into the right front hip. Go ahead and release the hands, frame the foot. Send the hip back, counter stretch, bowing nose to knee. And coming forward, drawing the left foot back, so we're in tabletop again. Now switch legs again, bringing the right foot forward. And this time, we're going to move into a side angle, but coming at it from the opposite side. So oftentimes we'll start in Warrior Two, one of those standing poses, and come into side angle. We're going to start from the floor. So planting the both of the hands on the inside of that leg. We're going to straighten the back leg like we just did. This time turning the back foot towards the floor, so allowing the foot, the sole of the foot to rest on the floor. And then as if we're drawing a bow and arrow, we're going to draw the left arm up the body, across the body, and all the way up towards the ceiling. If you'd like to bring it forward to that straight line all the way from the ankle to the toes, that's fine as well. Nice job. Bringing the arm back up towards the ceiling. We're going to start to straighten that front leg. Come right into a triangle pose. Really feeling strength in the legs, strength in the arms. Reaching up towards the ceiling. Again, that front leg isn't going to be 100% bent. We want it, or 100% straight. We want a little micro bend in that knee. Protect the knee. Excellent. Now bend that leg just a little bit for support, and we're going to start to pinwheel the arms up into the air. And pause here for just a minute. Turn both the toes forward, arms reaching out. Nice big star pose. Strong pose. Take up space. Really own it. Own this space. Own your practice. Excellent. We're going to switch sides. So allow the feet to turn, pointing the toes towards the back of your mat. And continue that pinwheel of the arms. So the arms are going to move together as if they're one piece, coming all the way down into a triangle, Trikonasana. Reaching strong towards the ceiling. Strong stance, strong legs. Imagining the shoulder blades drawing together along the spine, opening up the front of the shoulders. Go ahead and start to bend that front leg and see if you can get that hand to rest on the ground. And you can stay here or bring the arm into a forward long line from the ankle all the way to the fingertips, side angle. Good. Now, take the right hand around to the floor, either way, I guess. With both hands on the floor, we're going to start to walk the hands towards the center of the mat, turning both toes out, heels in. Maybe heel toe, walk the feet a little bit closer together and come down. I need to walk them a little bit closer, but come down into a wide squat. So dropping the seat towards the ground, bringing the hands, palms together at heart center. Staying here for just a moment and breathing. Moving towards having the heels on the ground, toes on the ground, and looking up, looking forward. All right, plant the hands on the ground and come to a seat. We're going to come back into staff pose. So straightening the legs, toes pointing towards the ceiling. Center yourself, really feel this pose. Again, grab your blanket if that was more comfortable to sit on, or maybe put under your knees for support in this position. Just stay here for a moment, take a deep breath in and sigh it out. And start to walk your hands forward. We're going to come into a seated forward fold. So walking both hands down both legs, reaching for the shins, the ankles, the bottoms of the feet. You've reached your max reach. Inhale and look forward, flat back. And exhale, folding forward, nose to knees. And start to come up, raising the head, walking the hands up the legs. Bending the left leg, bringing the sole of the foot to the inside of the right leg. And one leg forward fold, again, like we did earlier. Noticing any difference this time around. Noticing if maybe that lower back or that side of the hip feels a little bit looser. Maybe you can fold a little bit deeper. And walking the hands up the leg, come back up to a seat. So taking that same bent leg, we're going to cradle that leg in both arms and kind of rock it back and forth like a baby, kind of waking up that hip even more. We're going to move towards a figure 4 type position. So we're going to take that ankle right across the opposite thigh. And notice my knees don't go down very far. I tend to have really tight hips. So everybody's body is going to be a little bit different. If you want to have some support underneath that knee, that's perfectly fine too. You can take that blanket and really support that leg. Play around with different options for yourself. And once we found a comfortable position, you can keep holding on to that leg if you like that support, or you can reach down the straight leg. We're going to do another forward fold like we did before, this time in the figure 4. So starting to really slowly hinge forward, maybe reaching down that straight leg. When you found your max reach, inhale and look forward, flat back. And exhale, bow, nose towards knees. And slowly coming back up to sit and straightening that bent leg. Opposite side, so bending the right leg, bringing the sole of the foot to the inside of the straight leg. We're going to forward fold over this left leg now. And walking the hands up the leg, come back up to sit. Cradling that right bent leg in your arms, rock it back and forth a little bit, waking up that hip. Get that into figure 4, supporting that bent leg, and starting to fold forward. When you've reached your max bend, inhale, look forward, flat back, and exhale, bow, nose to knees. Adjust if you need to. I felt something kind of twinging, so I'm kind of adjusting this leg a little bit. Find what's right in your body today. Flexing that bent leg ankle, so flexing the toes kind of so the toes point towards the shin. It's going to give a little extra support to everything, really. It's going to give strength to that bent leg and help support the hip and the leg. And coming back up to sit and straightening that right leg. Taking just a moment in staff pose. Now we're going to bend both legs, come into a cross-legged or an easy pose. Not easy for everybody, not easy for me, that's for sure, but that's what it's called for whatever reason. So bringing one foot kind of in front of the other. So rather than crossing them all the way, we're going to bring one foot to rest in front of the other. And then start to forward fold over the crossed leg. So inhale, looking forward, flat back. And exhale, start to hinge forward, maybe walking the hands along the floor, leaning forward, nose towards the floor, and breathing. And walking the hands back up to come back up to a seat. Switching legs, so bring the opposite foot in front. And inhale, looking forward, flat back. Exhale, walk the hands along the floor, forward fold. Using the hands to press back up to a seat. I'm going to bring the soles of the feet to the floor, so maybe about hip width apart, not super wide. And we're going to start to windshield wiper the knees back and forth, bringing some movement into the hips. Done a lot of hip opening, a lot of work there. Then we'll let both knees fall over to one side, maybe over to the left. And then looking over to the right, just a really, really gentle stretch. Might feel it along the outside of the right leg, the right hip. Looking away from the knees. And coming back to center, windshield wiper the legs back and forth. And opposite side, dropping the knees to the right, looking over the left shoulder. Good, and back to center. And maybe scooting down a little bit, come to lie back on the mat. Drawing one knee into the chest, straightening the other leg. Maybe just rocking back and forth. Having a little massage to the internal organs. Helps with digestion. Helps really kind of cleanse everything by putting a little compression on the organs, and then release. Straightening the right leg and bending the left or the opposite leg. And rocking that leg back and forth. A massage on the other side. Excellent. Now bending both knees, planting the feet on the ground, planting the hands beside you. Maybe walk the feet a little bit closer to your body. We're going to come into a bridge. So tucking the tailbone and lifting the hips up into the air. Really leading with the hip points. Maybe walk the shoulders together underneath the back for extra support. Drawing the knees together, not trying to let them fall too far apart from each other. And rolling the back down to the ground, coming back to flat on the ground. Now drop the knees over to the left. They're kind of the same deer pose we did before. Arms come to a T, gaze is over the right shoulder. All right, and back to center. Drop the knees over to the right. Gaze is over the left shoulder. Excellent. Back to center. We're going to move into Shavasana. So we've got a number of options. You can come into a traditional straight leg Shavasana, so straightening the legs along the mat, allowing the toes to drop out to either side, arms by your sides, palms face up. You're also welcome to bend the knees, bringing the feet wide as the mat, knocking the knees together, constructive rest. If you're really enjoying the hip openers, you want to go into a reclined butterfly, you can bring the soles of the feet together, allowing the knees to drop wide. I've got one more option today. If you happen to have a wall nearby, or this actually will work with a chair or couch or some other piece of furniture as well, we do legs up the wall. So this is a great one if you've been doing a lot of leg work, which even though we weren't really standing on our legs, we were doing a lot of work on the hips and the legs. So if you're using a piece of furniture, I'm just going to stay with this chair here. Whoop, there we go. Kind of scoot up next to the chair or the couch, bringing the legs up onto the seat. Bent like that, and then lying back in Shavasana from here. A little awkward, there we go. And that will bring a little bit of inversion. So same thing against a wall. If you have a wall handy, scoot up next to the wall and allow the legs to go up the wall. Might need to adjust. Both try to bring the seat right up against the wall, legs up the wall. Gilly thinks this is funny. Hi, Gilly. So I'm going to stay here. Pick your preferred position. Legs up the wall is great. I was saying for a lot of leg work, the inversion will help lymph and blood and other bodily fluids kind of get out of the legs. It helps if you have any swelling or soreness in the ankles or the legs. Helps with circulation. Also brings some rest, some real rest to the legs. Gives them a kind of a change of perspective. Be really healing. So absolutely recommend legs up the wall if you are able. So come into your Shavasana, allowing the palms to relax. Maybe the fingers curl in a little bit, just kind of a natural hand position. Allowing the shoulders to relax, both down into the ground and away from the ears. Relax the muscles of the face. Drop the tongue away from the roof of the mouth and relax the jaw. Imagine the whole body is sinking into the ground, allowing the ground and the wall to be your support. Taking a few moments of intentional rest. It can be tempting to get up and turn off the video and move on to the next thing during Savasana. But try today's day. Try to stick with it. Might be comfortable, might be uncomfortable, but get to know what it feels like to be intentionally still, intentionally quiet, and intentionally relaxing. Really pay attention to what that feels like in your body without judgment, just noticing what Shavasana means for you. We'll stay here in silence for a few minutes until I guide you out of Shavasana. Starting to bring attention back into the room. Starting to deepen the breath. Bring some movement into the fingers and the toes. Be circling the wrists and the ankles. If you've got legs up the wall, bend your legs. Pause here for just a moment. And in whatever position you are in, start to roll over to one side or the other. Using the arms to press up to a seat. I awkwardly try not to knock over my plants. So coming back to a seated position, bringing the palms together at heart center, Anjali Mudra, balancing the left and right hemispheres of the brain, bringing a sense of peace and calm with this mudra. Taking a deep inhale and a deep exhale, and bowing the head towards the hands. Thank you so much for joining me today. The divine light in me sees and recognizes the divine light in each and every one of you. Namaste. Be well.